So let's learn basics about Linux operating system. Many people call it as Linux, but the better name we can refer it as a GNU Linux. And Mac OS is a Unix operating system. So both Linux and Unix are same. Uh, Mostly they look similar. And here in this example, I'm using Linux, Mac OS, Mac operating system, but all these commands are valid on any kind of Linux distribution as well. So the essentials that we are learning are helpful if you want to write even a shell script. So these are command line essentials, Linux on and essentials that we are learning for Linux or a Unix operating system and helpful to write a shell. The first thing, let's learn about navigation of directories. So here, it is just like if you open the Finder or files, and if you want to get into the folder or a directory, what you will do, you will double click. But here you don't have a this is not graphical. All you see here is text. So how do you check where you are? You can check where you are by looking at by using the command pwd print working directory, where you can see that pwd stands for print working directory. Here you can see that it displayed the current working directory that we are. So this is called a prompt line. Here you can see that it shows the user and at the rate and host name. So that I have logged in as a neotutor at the rate, and this is the name of the computer, and this is the folder. Okay, and this is the prompt. Okay, here usually on Linux you would see here a dollar symbol, and if you are a root you will see here a hash symbol. Okay, so and there are different types of shells. Okay, shell is a process. Okay, so remember here, so we discussed this thing. If you can you see here, so we have the hardware, and kernel is a special kind of software or program that interfaces the operating system with the hardware, and we have the shell, which is very low level, and so users can interact with the kernel and hardware here with non-graphical user interface, that is through shell. And there are different types of shell programs that are bash, sh, zsh. Okay, you can see here it is better shown. We have the hardware and kernel. Kernel is a special program which is kind of hard here, so which takes care of allocating hardware resources to the software or program processes that run on operating system. So kernel does the job of allocating enough RAM or allocating the processing power, all those things are hardware networking resources. And we have shell here. There are different types of shell implementations. So most popular one is a bash, bash, Bonnet shell. Okay, there are other shells that are ksh, csh, and zsh or zsh. Okay, so here what kind of shell are we using? There are environment variables. Okay, so you can assign something to xyz equal to, okay, and you can assign something 89 39 I assigned. Echo is the command that we can use to print anything. For suppose if I give hello world learning Linux, okay, and that is printed on screen, you can see here. So likewise, we can print some variables. Here I can print xyz. Can you see? It is instead of, if I prefix a dollar, which means that it won't treat this as a text. Instead, it is treated as a special token. That is a variable, environment variable, where the value which is that we have assigned into that variable is actually retrieved. So if you want to print all environment variables, you can actually type env. And there is a special environment variable, which is a shell, which describes what kind of shell program that you are actually using here. So here echo dollar shell. Can you see here? So it displays we are here which process we are using here, ZSH, which shell program that I am on here, which is a ZSH. And I can actually bash command. If I go to bash command, now you can see the default interactive shell is ZSH previously. Now I went into bash. Check this one, echo shell. See, default one is since this prompt message itself displaying default one, it was that default shell, interactive shell that was configured to use here was ZSH, so that we are using ZSH interactive shell here. Okay, so likewise bash sh, there are different shell implementations. So bash is quite popular. Okay, and a type of commands or the syntax, it doesn't change or vary very much between these shells, but there is kind of little variations, some kind of some implementations in fact do support extensive syntax. Okay, or the when it comes to shell scripting. Okay, for suppose doing when using environment variables or when using loops like that. Okay, so now if I exited from that shell. Okay. Now see what is env command. Env command prints all environment variables, where you can see here shell I'm using is a ZSH, and you can see the temp directory, and there is a path. What is a path variable? A special variable called path. Echo path, display path variable. So this path variable describes any command that you type that will be checked if it is available in this path. Okay, if it is not available, you will get that command error. Okay, for suppose I typed some random nonsense here. Okay, what is output here? Command not found. Do you see this one? Right? So why this command is not found? Because that command is not available in any of these paths available. Okay, the path variable holds the paths, different paths in which that command should be searched. Okay, so here see all different paths are separated by colon. Can you see here? Colon. Okay, so if I which is the command that is used to, or where, okay, where. Okay, so here on Ubuntu it is which, you can use which, but here it is not available on Mac. Sorry, which is available on Mac. So display that it is the given command is not found. For suppose which type checker man, the where this command is available, this command is available there at user bin man path. Okay, so just try which wget. If it is available where it is, wget is not found. Curl is available. Curl is a command which is available at user bin curl. Okay, so this command which or where is used to get the location of the command. Okay, see, I'm able to use this curl command because that is available there in one of the path here. Okay, so which is user bin curl. So if this curl command is not there, not available there in any of the paths that path environment variable holds, we will get command not found. Same way we got here, wget not found. Okay, so now moving further, env, we learned env is the environment variable. It holds different variables, okay, different values, and you can see the pwd is print working directory, which is also environment variable, and it displays the correct working directory. Okay, now moving forward, so how can you deal with the directories here? Directories to deal, so print working directory displays the current working directory, and ls displays uh, ls. Okay, ls stands for list directories and files. It displays all files and directories that are available in a current working directory. If you want to see files and directories available there at different location, you can actually use that path. Okay, you can see here I use the path etc, which displays all files and folders available there in this path. If you don't specify the path, it will display files and folders available in the current working directory. How can you switch to the different directory? It is like double clicking in a finder or files in a graphical user interface, double clicking that folder. So here, how can you actually move into that for any folder that you choose? We use the command cd, which stands for change directory. Cd space shell x. You see here, I'm inside the shell x directory, which is actually reinforced by the prompt line, where you can see that directory name after the username at the host name followed by that directory name. Okay. Now how can you create a directory? Mkdir is the command to create a directory, and let's check what is inside. What do we have here in shell x? We have actually Batman and heroes. How can you check what is inside this any of the file you have chosen? Okay, and there is a special command called file, and you can give file is the special command where if you give a path of any file, it will tell you what kind of file that is. Okay, is it a text file, is it a directory, or is it a audio file, is it a movie, is it a video file or audio file? Okay, something like that. Okay, or is it image, like that? Okay, so here it says heroes is directory. Check file space Batman. Now it is empty, it is not having anything. Okay, let me create a make the touch or a vim is the command, which is a vim or a nano. You can use vim is the command line editor for Linux and Unix environments, operating systems, where just like a notepad on Windows, a text edit on Mac, you can use command line editor vim to edit or create files. So I'm creating hello ex.py, okay, Python file. I'm typing hello val. Okay, so check file space hello ex. And what did you get here? It is showing which is ASCII text. This file contains this text. Okay, what kind of file? Is it a file or not? Is it a directory? You can use file command to check what kind of file it is. And now heroes is the directory. How can you get into that directory? Heroes. And remember, tab completion, you don't have to type in whole command on Linux or Mac. On this command on terminals, they do support the tab completion. You can type just couple of characters and hit the tab, and you will get that whole word filled, which we call it as tab completion. If there are actually multiple if there are multiple suppose if you are trying here, let me say cd space, if I go back, see hero, if I type here, we see that multiple entries here. Why? Because I have typed HE and hit the tab. After hitting the tab, I see two entries, because they those two do start with HE. Okay, so if there are no there is no ambiguity or conflict, you will immediately get the whole command filled with the tab completion. Otherwise, you will see the possibilities. And so heroes. Okay, now we have seen how to navigate through directories, and how can you go back to the parent directory. We use the cd dot dot. Suppose let's go to heroes. Okay, so cd dot dot, cd space dot dot means that go back to the parent directory, and cd hyphen means go back to the previous directory. Okay, cd space hyphen, which means that go back to the previous directory. Can you see here? I am from heroes, I went back to the shell ex. Okay, and cd dot, you can see here I went back to the heroes. It is like a backwards button on your browser or Windows Explorer or Finder. Okay, so now we have seen how to navigate files and how can you read it, what is inside heroes. It has nothing. Okay, go back. How can you remove a directory? rmdir, okay, is the command to remove a directory. So now you can see here no longer heroes is not available. But if I go back and if I try to remove rm space shell ex, and you will see an error because you can't. rmdir is the command. Sorry, rmdir and shell ex. rmdir is a command which can delete only the empty directory. Okay, if there is anything inside, you can't delete. So if there is anything inside, you can use rm. Rm is the command to remove any file. For suppose abx.txt we have. So let me remove that file. rm space abx.txt, which removes that file. You can see you no longer see that file. But rm is the command to remove files. But it can't be used for directories. rmdir is the command to remove directories, but it has to be empty. So if you want to remove anything that has something, you can use rm space recursive and that command. Recursive means that it recursively deletes all files inside that directory one by one and finally removes that directory, empty directory itself. Okay, this is the command to remove. This is very powerful command, but very dangerous command. By mistake, if you use the wrong path, if you provide the wrong path, bang, okay, everything is gone. Okay, so yeah, you have to use recovery tool. If you use rm command, whatever you have deleted won't go to the trash, or recycle bin. Okay, it is gone for good, but if you want to recover, you have to use the recovery tool. And that is about directories. And we have seen cd dot means the current directory. Let's put shell ex. Okay, cd dot means current. These are the special notations. Where cd dot means the current directory, cd dot means the previous parent directory, cd hyphen means the previous directory, and the cd, this is called tilde. Okay, this symbol actually takes you to the home directory. Okay, you can see here I am in a home directory. Okay, can you hear me? Hello? Hello? I think I lost you for a while. Okay, yeah, I'm continuing. Can you see my screen? Yeah, okay, good. So tilde is a special character which represents the home directory. You can see here cd space tilde actually took me to that home directory. And cd, this is a root directory. You can see ls // which is a special directory, which is a root directory or a root file system where on every Linux or Unix based operating system, whole directory starts from root. So let me show you here. So this is our root file system is on Linux. Can you see here the root? This is the root above all, that is /. Okay, so inside that you have different directories for different purposes, where bin contains all commands, boot contains files related to the boot, and dev contains devices. Okay, and etc contains anything else, configuration files. Home contains user directories, and lib contains library files, and media contains mounts. Okay, any media disks or external hard disks, that you put into the computer or a flash disks. They are mounted here usually in a media or MNT, and OPT contains other configuration or deployment files, and root is the root user. Okay, root user home directory, and don't be confused with the root / and root root root. Okay, so this is a root, above all the whole file system starts with this root directory, and inside that there is a home directory of a root user, sudo user. For suppose if I use sudo su and I have to enter the password. Okay, if I get into that, so what is home directory env? Can you see here? What is the home directory here? Root is the user, and home. Can you see home? Var root. Okay, so that root directory on Linux, I'm on Mac. Okay, which is the root directory of the root user, and SRV contain other deployments. You can put temp is the temporary files and directories can be placed into temp directory, and the user var contains logs. Okay, and user contain again this user and var contain again other things such as binaries include logs. Okay, and var contains sorry, user contain binaries bin commands and includes, which means header files or library files, and var contains other things such as catch and logs. So this is a Linux file system, Linux file system hierarchy, we call it as. And so that way, let me exit here. So here, just in case, here rm space shell ex. Remember, don't do this. Okay, if you type exit, okay, rm space rf, and if you give just in case /, you are deleting whole file system. Okay, and so that is quite dangerous thing. So you have to actually, when you use R command, you need to be careful. And what we are discussing here, ls. Yeah, so we discussed the we discussed the root directory, ls /, this is the root directory, and we can see here whatever we discussed here are shown here. Okay, and don't be actually confused if there is some discrepancy, because it is a Mac, it is a Unix based operating system, and but the most of the things are similar to the Linux. And we have seen how can you create. Let me go to tutor shell ex. Okay, now how can you create a file? You can use vim, this text editor, and give file name. Suppose quote and open. Okay, okay, if you want to do it, okay. So this is something, there's this kind of exit vim. Okay, so many people, newcomers, don't know how to exit vim. Okay, so can you see here kind of so I have been learning vim for about 2 years, mostly because I can't figure out how to exit. Okay, this is kind of confusing. So how to exit? You see, when you type something, and you see here vim works in 2 different modes. I'm in insert mode. If you want to go to the command mode, you have to hit the escape, and you don't see here in the bottom, so you are in the command mode. And how do you exit? You have to, in the command mode, you have to hit the colon, and you will see at the bottom left corner, and you have to hit a W, which means that write this buffer onto disk, and the Q stands for quit, and then there you go, and you can verify what is inside that using cat code file. Okay, and how to copy a file. how to copy a file. Here cp space, cp is the command, and you can see the syntax. Okay, and remember, if you don't know anything about any command, you can use manual. Okay, the man stands for manual, and that command will give you the all possible options and synopsis, which means the syntax. Okay, and if you go to the bottom, and for some commands you can see examples as well. For suppose man girl, if I go here, if I go to the bottom, and you will see all options as well. You may see some examples. So get habitual to refer to the man pages of different commands if you don't understand anything about that command. Can you see here? Okay, sometimes you don't have to sit and actually read through all this information, but this is the mostly what information is helpful here, that the name, synopsis, description, and if there are any command line options. Okay, but if you want a short, okay, this is long, okay, way long information, this, you for some manual pages, for some commands you will see ample amount of information in a man page. You may don't want to read and sit and read through all of that. You need a quick you want to check sometimes a quick syntax to use the command quickly. In such a case, you can also use help option, -help. Some commands do, most of the commands do support help. Okay, some commands don't support, such as internal, the built-in commands, the basic essential commands such as cd, ls. Okay, now how to copy. cp is the command, code, I'm copying that, okay, my code. And can you see here, code, can you see here, my code, cat space my code. Okay, can you see cat space code, and both contain the same information because I copied cp code space my code. I copied this file with in the same location with a different name. So you can choose to copy cp space code I'm copying. You can choose to give the different path as well, shell ex. Okay, so this is a path I want to copy. Okay, of course it means the same directory. No, let's choose it. If I hit the tab and I can see this python ex, okay, and copy. And if I provide a directory, what happens? It will be copied with the same name, and you can choose to use a different name as well. If I can, let me copy it again. So let me see what is inside that python ex ls. If you hit the ls, you will see what is inside that current working directory. If you can choose to provide a path if you want to look what is inside that specified path. So ls space dot python ex. There you see this code, because here I copied this code file to this directory, and that is why you see that here. And I can use cat command, I can provide the path. Okay, python ex and code. Can you see? Or you can choose to provide, this is relative path, you can choose to provide the absolute path. Okay, so absolute path, cat space users neo tutor python ex code. Okay, can you see? That is how about you can copy files. Okay, and if you want to move files, let's say that what is inside this python ex code, sorry, check what is inside python ex. You have code, but you don't have my code. Okay, so what you can do, if you want to move, just move env space to my code to which means that cut and paste. Copy is like a copy and paste. Env stands for, env works like a cut and paste. You are moving this file from here to different location. Now can you see here, previously we have here my code, but we don't have that my code. And where is that? It is moved to python ex directory. So check ls space python ex. Okay, and you can actually use cat to print what is inside specific file. or you can use cat with multiple files as well. Content of all files is printed by concatenating content of all files provided. For suppose hello world.py code and Batman. Check. Can you see here? Batman is empty file, so we don't see anything here. So it is printed out. For suppose if I give here cat space code in the reverse order, and you see that information printed in reverse order. Okay. And what is, and let me open code. Okay, so let me go to some page here. Okay, I'm copying this whole thing. Copy. So let me paste this thing here. Okay. So now let's see what is inside code. Now this whole information, right? I copied from website and pasted it here. So I have pasted it, you have to scroll through that. But in such a case, it means that you have multiple pages here. So in such a case, what you can do, you can use other. So you can use a less command to actually open a text file that has multiple pages, and you can use the hit enter to scroll through, or you can use up arrow to move upwards, and to exit less you can use Q. And there is a more command which is same as less, but this works one way. Okay, works one way. So you can hit enter and to see what is next. And and there are two different special commands that are head and tail. Okay, so how many watts we have here in this code? Can you see here? So wc minus l code. Okay, so man space wc. Okay, so let me go to manual page of wc and check what are options. Okay, l gives me number of lines. Okay, and w gives me number of watts. Okay, let me check how many lines here. Okay, w space l. Let's check how many lines here. How many lines we have here? 3522 lines we have. Okay, in those lines, let me give tail space. Tail, if I give tail space code, tail gives me first 10 lines only. Okay, and sorry, tail gives me last 10 lines. If I use head, it gives me first 10 lines only. Can you see here? Okay, so if you want, so you can go to head and you can see some command line options are available. This is pretty much small command. You can use -n to give how many lines you want. Head space -n, give, let's say 20. I want to check 20 lines in this file code. Can you see here? Now I see the 20 lines, and same applies to 24. You can see here more lines. Same applies for the tail. So tail works the same way, but it actually gives us the given number of lines from the end of the file. Okay, and there is another command which is grep. It's a special command. It is like Control F for the command line. You can give the pattern. What do you want to find? Okay, Python space, and you have to give what file, on path of the file, or you can give the stream here. So here I'm using code, and you can see here it displays the lines on which the Python is found. Okay, but if you want to go and read the manual page, where you can see here it has a lot of options, and there is one option called -i, and which means the ignore case. Okay, it matches exactly. Okay, so I want to check, I want to get line numbers also. -n gives you the line numbers. Now you can see here the line number I can see, and which line this is, okay, and which line this is. But it is matching exactly. I don't want this to match exactly. Okay, I want this command to give me the instances it found Python without matching case. Means even though if that instance is in capital P, that instance is in the title case, which means that the first word is capital. Okay, so for that I can pass I ignore case. Now you can see here the lot of options. See, so in those cases, what happens in those cases? You see here, if I actually lot of instances are found. Okay, I have to scroll through. What you can do, there is one thing in Linux that is called piping. You can chain different commands. So here I can use pipe. This is called pipe, which means that this is the first command. Pipe separates two commands, and the output of the first command is passed to the input of the second command through pipe. So we are combining both. Okay, the second command we give here, that will wait until the first command is finished and the output is available, and that output is passed to the second command. So likewise, we can chain multiple commands together. So now let's check here. Here, use ls. So what I'm doing here, instead of giving file name, so output of output of grep command is actually directed to the stdout standard output, and that is actually used as an input for the less command, so that the output is displayed in that less editor. So now what you can do, you can use down arrow, up arrow, or enter and up arrow to navigate through these different instances that Python is found. Okay, likewise, there are many command line options. This is very powerful, and we can use regular expressions as well. Use command, and there is a command called find. Okay, the find is same, but find is like a grep, but find actually looks at the file names instead, where grep looks into the file for the content. The man find. Okay, check this. This is all very powerful, and we can use this walk through the file hierarchy and find different files that with the given pattern. Okay, for suppose I'm inside, let me go back and let's do one thing. Find, I want to check where you want to check. This command syntax works like this. First you have to give the location in which you want to find, and I'm actually giving a for suppose root directory, and I want to find if anything is having Python. Okay, and star. Okay, give me anything that starts with Python, and you can see here a lot of files are there with that star. There are a lot of instances, there are a lot of files. These are the what you see here is the name path of that file that is found, file or directory. Okay, it doesn't matter if it is okay. So if you want to actually interrupt the execution of any command, you can hit the Control C. Okay, that way you can interrupt. Let's check here. Find space. If you want to, for suppose etc, I want to find, and name Python, anything that starts with py, and you can give type. So likewise, you can give different command line options here. I'm asking only if anything starts with py. Okay, nothing here. Okay, here you see a lot of information, so when you give, you see a lot of instances where files do start with files and directories do starts with Python, sorry, py, but you don't want to see that whole output. You want to see what only first 10 lines, output of first 10 lines. In such a case, you can actually, we have learned that piping, right? We can pipe to head command, which actually displays the first 10 only. If I actually pipe to tail, and it displays that last 10. Okay, last 10 only. And for first 10 you can use head, and you can pass this command line arguments n, and you can give 5. I don't want to see 10, I just want to see 5. In such a case you can give this, and you see this, only 5. We see the 5 instances. Okay, so what happened here, output of find command is actually passed as an input to the head command. Are we good now? Okay, and let's learn about redirection. We learned about piping, so let's learn about redirection here. Okay, go to the shell ex, and the echo command. Right, do you know echo command? Echo, we use that to print anything on terminal or standard out. We can actually if we want, we can use this greater than, which is just like we use pipe to pass the output of one command to the another input as output of one command to the input as another command, which is after the pipe operator. Here greater than is used to redirect the standard output to the any file name that you. For suppose I can give smart hero. Can you see here we have that file created, and if I cat, I can see that file that has this output of the command. Okay, for suppose if I type man grep, and I can actually send this to greater than, I can give man g. What you will see here, that output of man is not displayed on a standard output here. Instead, that is went to the file here, man and g, man g. You can see here that file. If I cat that man g, you will see that whole manual page. For suppose I can use less man g, you can see that whole output is actually dumped into the file. And what this greater than does, it will actually create a file. If file doesn't exist, if file exists, the content is overwritten. And what this double greater than that does, for suppose if I use greater than, and if I okay, now you see if I cat smart hero, you don't see that previous line because that is overwritten. That is what this greater than does. But if I use, I'm changing this such that you can see change double greater than, which is like append to the file. So the existing file doesn't exist, it will be created. If file exists, instead of overwriting that file, the content here, our content of the output is appended to that file. Now let's cat that smart hero. Now you can see here that file is having this output is actually appended to that file. And there are actually other two redirections here. So command, for suppose if you see here, this is used for suppose there are, for every Linux or Unix operating systems works like this. Every process has a 3 streams allocated to that. The operating system abstracts this. Everything is file on Linux, everything. For suppose even network interface controller that acts as a file and provides the interface to write and read data with the file operations. Okay, with the file API, everything is a file. And so here every process also owns a standard input, standard output, and standard error. 3 streams. Okay, whatever you see here on terminal, which is the standard output, on this terminal you are actually seeing a standard output stream and standard error stream. STDN represents the keyboard, that means the input, text input. So here for suppose if I used any command, for suppose wget curl, okay, what do you see here? Curl could not resolve. This is actually probably went to, instead of standard output, it went to the standard error. If I redirect this to smart hero, you won't see cat smart hero. You won't see anything because the information that is printed here, which is to the standard error. Okay, so if you want to actually redirect that standard error to the given file, what you can use two. So which represent the these are called file descriptors. 0 represents the standard input, 1 represents the standard output, 2 represents the standard error. And now go on cat smart hero. Now you can see this error. Okay, but if you want to redirect both the what do you say, both the standard input and standard output and standard error, you can use in such a case ampersand. Now if I cat smart hero, you can see here both the you can see here this whole information is actually the standard output, and this is to the standard error. Both info, that whole information is written or appended to that file, since we used here double clear there. So this is what these are the essentials of Linux shell scripting.